Vegan does imply that you are paying attention to how you impact animals as a commodity in every area of your life, not just what's put on your plate. And this is why I like the term vegan over plant-based, because it is inclusive of that. We have the whole planet and all of the sentient beings in here on Earth with us to consider. And why should we cut ourselves off from that consideration that has to do not only with the well-being of others, but I truly believe of well-being of ourselves. As I shared earlier, how much more at peace I felt being aligned with my ethical ideals when I moved my diet all the way in this direction. And that extends to things that I use in my life too, things that I wear and things that I buy for my home.
The Vidal Speaks Podcast.
Episode 77, Lani Muelrath, The Plant-Based Journey and Transitioning to a Healthy Vegan Lifestyle. Welcome to Vidal Speaks. My name is Deborah Vidal, former 11-year LPGA golf pro turned classical homeopath, certified plant-based nutritionist, and wellness coach. Each week here on Vidal Speaks, we bring you knowledge, inspiration, or natural remedies to help you take charge of your health and feel your best. I believe health is freedom and knowledge is power, so tuning in each week will give you the power to take steps towards freeing yourself from the chains that hold you back from having the energy to do all you want in life. No matter where you are in your journey of wellness, Vidal Speaks can help. I promise. Hi there, Vidal Speakers. Welcome back. This is my show, Vidal Speaks, and I'm your host, Deborah Vidal. Are you 100% plant-based or eating a vegan diet? And if not, are you trying to be? Maybe you're just curious and you'd love to give it a go, but you have no idea where to begin. Do you know anyone trying to make that transition? Well, if you've answered yes to any of these questions, then you'll love today's show, because I have the best person possible to teach you just how to do that in a way that'll help your transition be a total success. As a matter of fact, she wrote the book called The Plant-Based Journey, a step-by-step guide for transitioning to a healthy lifestyle and achieving your ideal weight. Her name is Lani Muelrath. Today, Lani is going to give you her coaching wisdom and tell you some great tips and really important things that you need to know to make that transition sustainable. So many people make this journey and end up giving up because they just weren't prepared for what they needed to do. Lani makes it easy because it really is a step-by-step guide. Many of you think you don't need help, I bet, but once you listen today, you're going to see how invaluable it is to hear her experiences from working with so many people who have taken meat off their plate and transitioned to a vegan diet successfully. That's the key, you guys, successfully or sustainably. Because if you have the desire to make the change, then we want to be sure you'll be a success, because there'll be no surprises since you have Lani's work and her book to guide you. This is the best step-by-step guide ever written, and Lani gives you the insight you need, not only for the changes that take place in your kitchen or in your recipes, but also in your mind. That's because Lani's a mindfulness expert. Her work focuses on 3 pillars: fitness, plant-based nutrition, and mindfulness. And when you can put all of these together, you too then can be a success. And when someone gives you all the templates in a step-by-step guide, then it's really not daunting and the task seems easy. Lani makes it really work, and she's not stopping now because she's just finished writing her 3rd book. It's going to be called The Mindful Vegan, which is going to be released, by the way, October 10th on Amazon. And if you listen carefully today, she's giving away a lot of nice gifts when you pre-order on Amazon, which you can do right now today. I'll put that Amazon link in the show notes for you guys. Be sure to use that Amazon banner on my site. You know how I feel about that. I can't wait for that Mindful Vegan to come out because the practice of mindfulness is so huge. Remember episode 72 with Lee Lovett about mastering your mind? and episode 71 with Dr. Hanscom when he talked about how he uses mindfulness to help people out of pain and to lessen his complication rate in the operating room. Mastering mindfulness is a way to take control of your mind and train it to be in a place where it works for you and not against you. And that place is now, in the moment. It takes practice, but you guys know practice makes perfect. And that's coming from a professional golfer. I lived and died by that statement. This idea of mindfulness is the one thing that I can take away from all the years I played on tour that's really helped me in my life. I did a lot of this kind of work in golf. And you know, golf is a sport that's such a huge challenge because the ball is not moving, so it's really difficult to stay in the present. I can imagine how helpful, though, it is to learn to be mindful if you're fighting a weight issue or if you want to change your lifestyle. All change is difficult, and people usually are not good at change, but being mindful can allow you to get through the change and reach your goals successfully. So that's why I'm really excited about Lani's new book. I want you guys to check it out and be sure to pre-order it so you get your gifts while she's offering them. And while you're there, sign up on our site and she's going to give you guys 40 pages, I think it is, of the plant-based journey and a PDF of some great recipes. She's going to tell you more about it today in our conversation. So stay tuned. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Lani Muelrath, okay? And then we'll get on with the show. Lani Muelrath, M.A., is an award-winning health educator, professor, best-selling author, inspirational speaker, and TV host widely sought for her expertise in mindful, active, plant-sourced nutrition, vegan living. Lani has been featured on CBS-TV, ABC-TV, Prevention Magazine, USA Today, Huffington Post, the Saturday Evening Post, and NSPR. She created and starred in her own CBS television show called Lani's All Heart Aerobics and has served as presenter and consultant for PCRM, which is the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, the one that Dr. Neil Barnard founded. You guys remember that one. And also the Complete Health Improvement Project and Plant Pure Nation. Recognized as a thought leader and pioneer in the integration of vegan living, fitness, and mindfulness, Lani's approach blends plant-based nutrition with compassion, mind-body awareness, movement, and transformational techniques from mindfulness meditation practice. She has been teaching in health, fitness, and wellness for over 4 decades. Lani has been a vegetarian or vegan since 1973, when she also started teaching yoga and began a meditation practice. The ethical considerations of treatment of animals, the environment, and health were natural outgrowths of these practices. Her early studies in meditation took her to India on a retreat several times, and since then, she undertook the study of insight or mindfulness meditation, which she has practiced for over 25 years. She has studied with some of the best-known leaders in mindfulness practices. Certified in mindfulness meditation instruction and plant-based nutrition from Cornell University, Lani is also an authorized mind-body specialist and behavior change specialist. Her multiple teaching credentials include yoga, physical education, and advanced fitness nutrition. Having discovered through personal experience and training that mindfulness practices are a proven method of getting beneath the surface of these obstacles, thus helping one overcome negative patterns of thinking and behaving by training the mind in a particular fashion, she began introducing mindfulness meditation to her clients, naturally blending the 3 pillars of food, fitness, and frame of mind into her work. The Mindful Vegan, a 30-day plan for finding health, balance, peace, and happiness, is Lani's 3rd book, which is going to be released this October, as I told you. It follows her 2nd book, which is The Plant-Based Journey, a step-by-step guide for transitioning to a healthy lifestyle and achieving your ideal weight. Awarded top media pick by Veg News and Fit Quickies, 5-minute target body shaping workouts. Lani lives in the Sierra Cascade foothills in Northern California with her husband, Greg, with whom she travels the world on wildlife advocacy projects and outdoor adventures, trekking, hiking, bicycling, and scuba diving. They've also traveled extensively as volunteer field biologists, working internationally with endangered animals such as sea turtles and albatross birds. Okay, you guys ready? Just sit back and relax, or walk, run, work out, clean, whatever it is you're doing. But this one you'll enjoy. Here we go. Hello, Lani. Thanks for accepting my invitation to be on my show. And I look so forward to the listeners hearing all your excellent coaching wisdom on transitioning to a plant-based diet, but also to learn about the exciting new book you're going to write or have written and the new virtual retreat that's called the Mindful Vegan. So thanks for joining me. And we're going to talk about that later.
Well, thank you, Deborah. I'm so excited to be here, and it's an honor to be part of your project.
Great. I have so many questions to ask you, so I hope you're patient, but my listeners know I like to get a lot of answers. So,
Well, that's good. I'll tell you what, I'm a teacher, so that's how we work best, Q&A. So go.
All right, cool. Well, before we even get that far, your book that I'm interested in talking about today is your previous book, which is called The Plant-Based Journey, which is a fantastic step-by-step guide. So thank you so much for writing that, because my practice, I'm always trying to help people. It's such a work coaching people into this new lifestyle, and your book just lays it all out. So I really want to thank you for that. Yeah, that's really a work, and it's so helpful. And I just want to know now, before we start talking about that, because that is our subject today, but I want to know how you got on your plant-based journey. I know you talk about it in the book, but let's tell the listeners about your journey here.
Well, we have to go way back,
Yeah, I know.
I got started on vegetarianism about 45 years ago when I started teaching yoga. I'd been studying yoga in high school as an influence from my mom. And along with yoga comes the idea of Ahimsa, or causing least harm to others, nonviolence. I'm sure you're all familiar with that, as are your followers and listeners. And so vegetarianism was a natural outgrowth of my yoga practice. And believe it or not, at that time, it was still all out there about the other reasons that we need to push meat off our plate. The environmental concerns were alive then, and the health concerns were also part of the picture. So all three of these, the health, the environment, and concern for the animals, have just proliferated to this day and are even more compelling. So that's what got me started. And way back then, I also, for years, had struggled with a weight problem and a body image problem and all of that. And I always kind of hoped that going vegetarian would help me shed a few pounds.
Yeah.
But it really wasn't until I progressed fully toward really being inclusive of what whole plant foods means for your body in terms of arriving at your naturally healthy weight, where fitness fits into the picture, and even most importantly is getting some degree of mastery over your habits and practices of thinking, which is what my new book is about. So I now have a trilogy of books, Deborah. I've got the fitness book and the food book, and here comes the Frame of Mind book.
Oh, that's so cool. I'm jealous. I'm just starting. I need to get there. It's always on my list, and it's just a time thing, but
yeah.
You know, it's such a fantastic thing, and so many people out there have a weight issue, and they're really interested to hear about this and what you have to talk about it. And we're going to get into part of that, because honestly, you say that just going with a whole foods, healthy, plant-based diet, you can reset yourself to a natural weight. But before we even talk about that, it's just this idea of vegetarianism, because I too started as a vegetarian, although I can say I was a pretty natural vegan since I was 11, because I never liked milk.
Wow.
I didn't like butter. I hated cheese. I didn't like mayo. So I was a pretty natural vegan. Now, of course, you go out and all they had was grilled cheese, you eat it, or cheese enchilada, you eat it. But if it wasn't melted, I couldn't eat cheese. And so I was pretty much a child that loved animals too much to eat them. And I just always related what was on my plate. But looking back now, used to think vegetarianism was so healthy, but now with all I know, you think,
I
wow,
know.
eating eggs and cheese and milk, what kind of healthy diet is that? So it's
Yeah,
really
well,
not.
it sounds like you were a conscious eater from way early on.
Yeah, you do the best you can. You don't realize the things, when I grew up in that time era where TV dinners were like changing the world, and not that my mom made those, we didn't make those, but you think it's cool that you can make mac and cheese
Yeah,
from a box so of
yeah,
course, I'm sure at the time I was a healthy eater. I was interested in natural health, and I'd have my mom drive me to the health food store, the one we had in Las Vegas. But, looking back, it wasn't that healthy compared to how I eat today. But for the time and for what I knew, I think I was in the top 5%.
yeah. Well, you underscore something very important, and that is we all have our own journey on this way, and we've all come to this through a different pathway. And the way the plant-based journey, the book, came about is because I saw through all the people that I'd coached and worked with and my own experience that, like you, everyone comes to this from a different avenue, and yet there's certain specific 5 steps that I found are universal for easing this transition and making it possible for people to make this shift sustainably. And that's key. We don't want something that's just going to be overnight, right? We want something
Right.
that's going to last a while.
Right. And that's why your book is so good, because it lays it out so that it can last. Now, I also know in your story that you had a passion for wildlife and the environment, and that led you to travel all over the world. And I know that was a big turning point because you talk about it in your book. So can you tell us a little bit about how this changed your diet from vegetarianism to vegan then?
Yes, actually, we started probably not long after we went vegetarian. My husband Greg and I started traveling all over the world on wildlife advocacy projects. We started with sea turtles in Mexico and Costa Rica, and have been to Midway Island to work with the albatross birds. And now we've been venturing to Africa and Indonesia and working with the elephants. And this has been ongoing. And the more you get close to these critters and being them, especially in their natural habitats, and seeing how their lives and their very existence is threatened by human activity, meaning what we do with their habitat, by our population explosions, what we do with our treatment of animals through what we put on our plate, more and more, it just made it very clear that this was not something that I wanted to partake of. Actually, when I went vegetarian, I was eating dairy products 45 years ago. My eggs were gone. But the dairy products kind of lingered for a while. And as I became a more and more conscious eater, and also through my mindfulness practice, and I write about this in the Mindful Vegan, it became more clear to me at a deeper level how out of sync with my deepest aspirations and really at my alignment with ethics, how out of alignment to partake of dairy products was with that. And so that really opened my heart to that. And once I had just had to move them off my plate. And what a difference with ease of well-being once I did that.
I
Yeah.
agree. I think taking dairy out of a person's diet is the single biggest factor that really changes one's health. Although if they're huge meat eaters, that also makes it different. But man, dairy just has so many health implications. It really is a big transition when you finally take it out.
Yeah, and I think wherever someone makes a connection, any movement they can make in this direction, the vegan world is very welcoming, at least in the way I like to promote veganism and vegan nutrition, is that any move you can make in this direction, come on board. Let me help you in any way I can. I don't shake fingers. I seek not to be judgmental. I just want to be as inclusive as possible. And you know that, Deborah, from the plant-based journey. That's the entire thread through there.
Exactly. And I tell listeners on the show, look, if you're not 100%, that doesn't mean that you're not welcome or that you're shunned upon. That if you can do 1 day a week, that's a great start. And then you up it. And we're going to talk about all kinds of strategies to help people. But honestly, I'm like you. Look, any person that eats one less meal with a dead animal on their plate, we're doing a lot for the environment, the climate change, and the poor animals. So I'm like you, but I want to know this idea of this connection of how eating an animal is so destructive to our environment, and it's so devastating in regards to the harm being done to the animals today. How can we just get people to make this connection? Because I love what you say, that you realized that really what you were doing and living wasn't matching your core. And I honestly believe that it doesn't match anybody's core, because if you look at a child, they instantly and automatically and intuitively love animals. So there's some disconnect that happens in our growing up, that we suddenly don't think about the harm to the animal when we're eating them. And I would love to hear your thought on what we can do to help people go back to the roots of our soul, of just knowing what this really is doing.
Yes, and I think it's really true that there is an innate desire to be kind and compassionate. We all say we love animals, and yet we're confounded when we make the switch to not eating them, yet we were eating them for years. We think like, how is it that I didn't make that connection earlier? And then the inspiration becomes, how can I help others make that connection? Because really, Deborah, I think we can have all the facts out there, like animal agriculture is the biggest contributor to greenhouse gases and climate change. And it takes 16 pounds of wheat to make 1 pound of beef. And you could just eat the plants. These are all factoids that are really important pieces of information, but they don't necessarily open the heart.
Yes.
So the key is how to connect in a heartfelt way with people that's going to open that up. And this is why pointing fingers and blaming and being kind of a cranky, mean vegan in someone's face does not invite inclusion. It creates more resistance. There's something out there that is actually a phenomenon in psychology called the meat paradox. And that is the very thing that shows up as people who love animals and say they love animals, but then they eat them. It turns out that when we are in the position of being habituated to being meat inclusive in our diet, and everyone around us is doing that, that's kind of like part of the clan behavior. Mm-hmm. And when someone or something comes along and kind of puts a little toe in the door of that, kind of reminding us or opening us to a connection of another way of looking at things, it can be very difficult for people we're hardwired to want to be included in community. We don't want to go against the clan because big picture, this could actually cause us to be banished and not to be able to survive, right? Right. Even though we're not living in those situations right now, that energy is still alive in us. So what we need to do is find a way that we would feel included by someone who is inviting another way to look at things, which is why it is so important for us as people who are promoting vegan nutrition or a vegan way of living, that if we can embody the change that we want to see in the world, that means being kind and loving and compassionate and inclusive. We are much more apt to bring people into an included of community when we are in that way. And this shows up in one-on-one conversations. If we are conversing with someone who is, maybe their mind is opened a little bit to, or maybe they never thought of this before, that the animal that they eat is the same animal that they're admiring at a distance on the roadway, that if we can find something about them to connect with that they already are doing, something about them, we can find something about every person that we can admire and support and be curious about. See them as a human being, listen to them as a person, that you establish a connection. And then this allows other doors to open so that these lifestyle issues come out more on the table. This is something that's very interesting too about this meat paradox is it turns out, and research shows this, that if someone has started to open their heart a little bit to moving meat off their plate, that oftentimes if they are then given another opportunity to do that, in some ways their defensiveness of the status quo and their community as is can feel more threatened, so they will put up stronger barriers. And this can be so shocking to people because they'll feel like, I was talking to this person and I know that their heart is a little bit open, but then all of a sudden their behavior will be even more abrasive or standoffish about it, which means that we have to open our hearts even more. But
Yeah.
it's kind of surprising. We think once the door's been opened, the floodgates are gonna open. But it really does take a little bit of understanding of psychology, and more importantly, just being present with people, listening to them, and trying to get out of our positional head about everything, which does not create harmony.
Well, it's really difficult sometimes for me being a healthcare practitioner. I'm a homeopath, and some of my, best friend colleagues, and I would say they're animal lovers, and they know, but they still want to live in denial. And sometimes there's a lot of different psychology, as you mentioned. I think there really are people that intentionally don't want to look or know anymore because they're not feeling like they can make that change. It feels too hard, too drastic, whatever their reason is. And I honestly believe if slaughterhouses had glass windows, we'd have a hell of a lot more vegans, that's for sure. Because most people that are appalled by this, that love animals, then would have a hard time eating them if they saw that. So they just kind of put their hands over their ears. Don't tell me about it. Don't do this. And that's difficult for me, but it is true. Life is that way in general. We have to be really accepting and open, keep our heart open, even though it can seem like people are making choices that feel wrong because they're doing harm to a lovely creature, but it may not be their time yet, or it's like you said, I do find too that they put up immediate defenses, and sometimes they do that even if you're not trying to share with them anything. You just mentioned that you're a vegan, and then they start telling you how they only eat grass-fed beef or something because immediately they feel like they need to tell you how they eat. Maybe it's a comparison of what you're saying. But I know vegans have a reputation sometimes of feeling like too pushy or they're better than everyone else. That hasn't been my experience, and I certainly never lived my life like that. So I'm sad that people think that. But
Well, you know what? Where I think that is from is I think that you could not be putting out any kind of a judgment vibe at all. But if someone feels at all compromised with what they're doing, then it's easier to blame the messenger than to take responsibility. You're choosing the veggie burger at the company potluck. We've all been in a situation where we've done something like that and someone has thought we were judgmental. No, I just took the veggie option. So these are all really important considerations. But did you want to, going back to the plant-based journey, these are all huge issues. Did you want to look at those steps of transition, give people something to act on?
For sure. That's one of my big questions. I wanted to say, you're talking about the 5 steps, the awakening scout, the rookie, the rock star. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you call them kind of levels of proficiency. So let's go there now. I'm going to just read them and then you tell me about them. But
okay.
They're awakening scout, and then rookie, rock star, champion, and exercise and mastering your mind. So let's hear a little bit about these 5 steps.
Well, here's the question I get most common is this: is how did I come up with these 5 steps? And like I mentioned earlier in our conversation, Deborah, these were drawn from my personal experience and the people I have coached and worked with. I've been working with PCRM on their 21-day kickstarts for a long time, so that's kind of fed into the information. But I also did a survey of over 1,200 people who expressed themselves as having successfully transitioned to plant-based nutrition. And that's qualified by 3 to 5 years or more of being at ease with this way of eating. And I asked them a series of questions. What do you wish you had known when you got started? What would you like to tell someone else that's getting started? What did you find were the real keys for you for being successful? And from those five steps and the 2 key supporting players emerged as commonalities everywhere. Everyone who was successful had gone through those 5 steps, whether they knew it or not. What I did is I took all the information, and since I'm a teacher, as I said earlier, I'm skilled and trained at taking what could be a complex problem or challenge and breaking it down into doable steps so that the student, which is all of us, can proceed successfully. So that's how they came about. And it started with, as you just named it, the awakening. And you told us earlier in the call about you came to this at about age 11 or 12. You just couldn't handle any more the idea of eating animals. So that was your awakening. All of us have to come to this by getting the idea. Unless you get the idea of changing your life in this most fundamental way, then you're not going to proceed, right? So it's
Right.
universal. You have to have the idea first. And once you've got the idea, which kind of gives you your most compelling why, even though that can change and grow over time, the next step, which I've called Scout, is the investigative stage. This is where you kind of put on your backpack and your magnifying glass and you find out what is on the plant-based plate. What do I need to push off my plate? How do I prepare my pantry? How do I read a label from this through this lens? How do I get all of this together so that I can procure food at the market, figure out how to prepare it, and get going? So without that stage, you can't get to the rookie stage, which is the fun stage when you get to eat.
Right.
So then at the rookie stage, now you've got your why, you've got your kitchen prepared, you've kind of cut to market and got a few things to cook. And at the rookie stage, I suggest people start where they are, which means start plantifying your plate. See how you can get more plant foods on your plate. Find out the foods and flavors that you already love and move more plant products into that. Find ways to completely replace the animal products that are in those. And I have tons of suggestions, as you know, in the plant-based journey,
Yep.
how to, switch it out. And I am a very lazy cook, so I do not have a ton of fancy recipes here. Instead, I have templates, which is just how I cook. I like to make a main meal. I take a little bit of grain. I maybe take some bean or tofu, and here's the vegetables. Let's make a meal. To make plant burgers, I have like 3 or 4 different templates. Take a little bit of bean, a little bit of grain, something to hold it together, put in the vegetables and seasonings, and you've got that. So I think it's important to make it as undaunting as possible. And
Yes.
before we go on to the next stage, another thing about the rookie stage, a couple of things. We know this about rookies is the allegory to, particularly to baseball. So let me ask everybody right now, every time the rookie is up at bat, do they hit a home run?
Definitely not.
Definitely not. Sometimes they strike out, sometimes they walk, sometimes they have to go back to the batting coach for a while. And we have this high expectation of ourselves that we're going to get it right out of the gate, that every meal is going to be delicious. So it's important to have patience and compassion for ourselves with that. And another thing about the rookie stage that's really interesting to converse about is timelines. And I asked this question in my survey too. I asked my readers and the people who responded, what do you think is the best way to make this change, overnight or over time?
Yeah, that's one of my questions for you today because everybody has a different personality. And honestly, I'm the type of person that needs to do it overnight.
Well, here's what the survey response was: 50-50, pretty close. Half the
Wow.
people said overnight, rip off, go to Fergie or whatever they wanted to put it. And the other half said over time. But this is interesting, Deborah, of the people who responded overnight, just do it. Of 50, at least half of those people, I always write things where I make a place where they can add comments and elaborate, because that's where I get the really juicy stuff,
Yeah.
right? So they said, oh, well, I say overnight, just do it all at once. But I had a hard time with this for a while. And then I did this. And then I did this for a while. So in their minds, they'd gone overnight, but they'd really gone over time. So the thing is, it doesn't matter because, like you said, we're all different. But what's important to remember is that whether you go overnight or whether you go over time, the 5 steps all have to take place. If you go overnight, like I think of, I interviewed the Camerons, James Cameron and Susie Amos Cameron
Right.
for the plant-based journey, because what they did is they said when they found out, they went overnight. But here's what they did. They got the family together. They went to the pantry that afternoon. They pulled everything out. They went to market. They got ready. They did the scout stage. Then they started cooking away the rookie stage. And then, so they did all the steps. They didn't just say, oh, we're not going to do that anymore and just expect that everything was going to be ready the next day. They went through the steps. So it really, it's what your time's like and what your personality is like. So after the rookie stage, whether you've gone overnight over time, you've started to cook some food, you've started to experiment, you're getting some dishes that you like. Sometimes people just start with 3 things that you like and cook them over and over again for a week and then branch out from there. That's fine too. The rock star stage is once you got it going on at home, which is, your controlled environment. I've got my breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and I know what's in the fridge or not. Then what about taking it to a bigger stage? Like, what about going to work? What about going on any kind of traveling? What about family situations? What about Thanksgiving dinner? What about bringing the kids along? And all of those things that are another layer of complexity.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so thrilled that actually had some families, some kids who wrote some passages for me about their challenges and how it was at school. And the parents talked about what worked for them for bringing their kids along. So it's collaborative. And then step 5 is champion stage, which might sound like you're, king of the mountain. You've got it all together. You know how to do everything. But we have to look carefully at what is it that a champion does, whether in the Olympics or whether a champion in the kitchen, like a master chef. What do they do over and over again that keeps them in the game appropriately? Is practice. So that's all the champion stage is. It's actually the shortest chapter in the book because I say, okay, you've got all the tools. Just keep refurbishing, keep reconnecting. If something falls apart, just go back and see which one of those stages you need a little bit of brush up on, and you've got it. And then from there is the next 2 are the key supporting players. And those are so important that I now say that instead of 5 steps, it's actually 7, because if people leave these last 2 out, they're missing an opportunity for leveraging them for success. And those are the fitness and the frame of mind. And for fitness, now I'm an exercise physiologist. That's where my primary degree is. And I do have a big fitness background. I still teach in kinesiology at the college. So I know all about fitness. But to me, the most important thing to know about moving your body is not that it just makes stronger muscle, not just that it makes a stronger heart, not that it makes you feel better or relieve stress, but because of what it does for your brain. The minute you start putting one foot in front of the other, your brain releases a whole biochemical cascade that mixes with a protein in your brain called brain-derived neurotrophic factor. I'll explain that. That's just a protein that when it mixes with its biochemicals, allows you to make new neurons, new connections. So this is essential for lifestyle change. So if your feet are stuck in cement, you're not moving at all, you're kind of sticking your brain in cement. So you don't need a fancy workout plan to benefit. Just walk a little bit each day, sit a little bit less. I have a metabolic profile in the plant-based journey where I take you through looking at your day at how much you are actually not moving about and spending big blocks of time sitting. And the other is the mastery of some degree of mastery over habits or thinking. And Deborah, really, isn't this, for me, it was linchpin. And I think it is for all of us. It doesn't matter if you know what to do in the kitchen, you know what to do in your activity. If you are being held back by reactivity and former habits of thinking, then you're stuck. And this is the most difficult thing for people to get past. Yeah. And there are specific ways to learn. Mindfulness practice really teaches you specifically how to get underneath those challenges and kind of rewire your thinking so that previous reactivity can be navigated and moved through, and you get a whole new freedom in your life.
That's so interesting because I just did a show with, actually the title was Mastering Your Mind, like how to exercise your mind, because we practice working out and we practice doing all this stuff and nobody works on their mind. And then I did a show with a spine surgeon who's eliminating a lot of people's pain by reprogramming them. He calls it active mindfulness. And he uses this technique in the operating room and says that his complication rate dropped 80%. So there's a lot to this subject of mastering your mind. I'm really excited to see that you've put it along with, transitioning to a vegan diet. And I'm really, really looking forward to your new book, The Mindful Vegan, because this is such an important area of development. And a lot of people think so much about the body, the diet, the fitness, the everything, and the brain. We're learning so many new things about the brain, but it's so important because, like you said, these old patterns of thinking, nobody thinks of them as old patterns. They often just think of them as, this is me. This is
Yeah.
me.
Oh, God, that's so well said. And I'm really excited to hear your enthusiasm about that because there is a massive amount of research out there now about how you actually change your brain by doing these simple practices with your brain, and that this revolutionizes your life. It's just true. People spend the time on the food and the exercise, but how many people who really know all the things to do and are just working so hard still say, how come I can't get over cravings? How come I'm eating mindlessly? Why do I keep getting in my own way? We hear that a lot.
So, in your first book, you talk about this as one of the most, you call it the supporting characters, but obviously the sixth and important step of your 6 steps. But in this first book that you wrote, The Plant-Based Journey, do you speak about things that they can do to master their mind? And then you just take off more on that on your book that's coming out this fall?
Yeah, well, actually, my first book was a fitness book, so that's why I say I have the trilogy. The
That's
Plant Journey is
true.
my second book, but I've insisted with my publishers that each of my books has to contain all three of these pillars. The fitness book, with a few years ago, I said I still need to mention plant-based nutrition and something to do with a mindset in there. And my publisher was all over it, and they always have been since then. So you have it exactly right. In the plant-based journey, I have a whole section on the mental approach, and I have specific activities and some case histories and stories in there. But this gives me a chance to, I knew it was going to take a whole book to teach this because it's
Yeah.
actually a 30-day plan, strategically, one day at a time, building how to do this. And again, here I am as the teacher taking a complex problem and just show you how to do it step by step. So yes
That
to your question. That's
That's
my
great.
answer.
And I want to go through your little stages. When you were talking about the awakening, the thought that I had was this is such an important stage because once somebody's awakened and they're living from a place of consciousness, like just in whatever way, if it's consciousness about how I came to it, maybe that I became conscious that piece of meat on my plate was actually a beautiful, loving animal, that I couldn't do that anymore. Or maybe they become conscious because they had a massive stroke and they just realize that unless they make some serious changes, they won't live a very long life. And that is their point, to make a change. And I'm curious if that health disaster one, usually what I've seen in my practice, that people who go plant-based because they want to improve their health, and some of them even say, I'm not doing it for animals or animal rights. I don't really care about that. I'm doing it because I want to feel better. But my experience has been that eventually they get to a place where all that other stuff does matter.
I think it makes a stronger commitment
Right.
because it is easier to let go of our own health and make exceptions that way for most people than to think of something. If you look bigger picture and there's something outside yourself, then there is a bigger reason.
Yeah, and whenever we can do something for the bigger picture or for the good of all, obviously that's going to be a bigger commitment. So then the next stage, when you talk about the scout, that's kind of the fun stage, because usually people, when they're in that stage, they're really motivated and
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
reading all these books or buying cookbooks and they're learning. And if they have a coach, they're, asking millions of questions because so the enthusiasm is really high. And then the rookie stage is where you make mistakes. I'm a professional golfer for 11 years on the tour, and I know that feeling of being a rookie. You come out there, everyone else around you pretty much are all experienced, and there's a handful of rookies in that year, and you feel like oh gosh, I don't know the ropes here. I don't know what to do yet. And so that rookie stage is, yeah, you're going to make mistakes, but you learn from those. And then the rock star stage, you're like, yeah, I got it. Now I'm not that rookie anymore. And you're learning a lot new recipes. Now you often don't even have to look in the book to cook something because you have them off the top of your head, or you're getting creative enough to throw a few things together without a recipe.
That's a real sign of the rock star stage too, is relaxing a little bit about making it such a complex project, which I totally might understand that when people come from the usual 3 square meals a day with, the meat, the milk, and the side of vegetables, that overlaying that with in a plant-based context is probably the biggest shift. But once you start to I just got an email from a longtime friend. She says, I finally got over this idea of having to be micromanage everything so much. I just make sure I have all this really good food available and that I eat from a variety of it every day. And that's rock star stage. It's very nice.
Yeah,
Very
that's
nice.
cool. And then the champion stage for me, what I thought about when you were talking about that is when someone's a champion, they're actually helping others do it now because they've done it. They're passionate about it. They believe in it with their whole heart because they're living that life now. They're a champion at it. So now they're reaching out to help others who might have questions or interested in going that route. But also, that they're kind of in a champion stage, not really caring what others are saying about it anymore. Because as a professional golfer, I played after our tour ended in the States in November, I would go to Japan for 8 to 9 weeks. And, that's unheard of to be a vegan there. And they would say, do you eat chicken? No, I'm vegan. How about shrimp? Okay. No, I'm vegan. Oh, okay. They didn't get it.
Isn't that funny? Yeah, it's an animal.
I would tell them in Japanese, I'd say, only veggies, only veggies. And they say, only veggies? And then I would get a lot of grief from my manager and from the people around me. How can you be a professional athlete and eat like this? And but when you're in the champion stage, it doesn't bother you anymore. You just go to that restaurant, even if there's nothing on the menu, and you just know how to work around it because you're at the champion stage.
Yeah, your experience.
Yeah, so that's really cool. I see how those all fit in with no matter, you do it overnight, like you said, when they do it overnight, they're just going through those stages early on faster, but they still go through the stages.
That's right.
Yeah, that's so cool. And I love that idea that you put it in steps like that. My degree in college was also a teacher, so maybe that's why I can relate so much to what you do. Yeah, and even when I teach golf, I'm kind of same way, a very complex subject. You got to make it simple. Otherwise, people run away. And what do you think, what is the single biggest factor that stops people from going plant-based or vegan?
I think it probably has to do with some kind of a social connection where they feel like they're isolated, they're off on their own, all their friends are not necessarily jumping in with where they are. And so there's a social pressure to comply, which hooks easily into I would really like to have that cheese on my pizza instead of just leave the cheese off, I'll have it just fine.
Right.
I think that comes up a lot. And also there's a couple other. One is not being prepared enough with having enough of the good food at home. And another is being hungry. When we eat whole plant foods, as you know, it takes a different quantity of food to fill you up because they're less calorie dense or less calorie concentrated. And especially people who have any kind of a dieting history, treat it maybe as a new diet and start getting hungry. And then they start having really strong desires for heavier, denser foods, which is anything in the animal kingdom. And that can trip them up. So making sure that you eat well and enough and on time is a big boost. So I kind of gave you 3 things.
Yeah, that's great though, because I know I had a listener write me and asked if I would do a show on the social implications of becoming vegan because that's what she found the hardest. She lived in a different country in Europe and it wasn't so easy to have vegan restaurants, and she wanted to go out with her friends, and she just said that it was very difficult. It's one of the hardest things. So what do you recommend when people need to go to parties, at somebody's house, and there probably won't be anything vegan there? What do you recommend that people do?
Well, first you mentioned restaurants, and before you brought into the parties and the social situations, restaurants is a big part of it. So I will always, wherever we travel, whenever I'm going to go to an event somewhere, I'll either go online or make a call to the restaurant to find out what they have on the menu. That would be a match for what I would want to eat. And for example, there's, Mexican restaurants. And I remember going down to the Mexican restaurant. We were meeting up with friends and I gave a call. They said they had beans with lard, but they also had beans in the back that were boiled that they could serve. There was like pinto beans. They also had tortillas. They also had greens. They also had their salsa. So I made this wonderful one taco after another with all of that. I just had them bring that to the table.
Mm-hmm.
You can usually find something that you can eat. When it comes to a social event, if you can, people always like it when you bring food. And if you think that your hostess or host is going to be offended by that, just very casually and in friendly fashion, established beforehand that, oh, well, since I'm really venturing into this, just eating plant-based foods, I'd love to bring some of my favorite dishes to share with everybody. Is that okay? Don't do it like, I can't eat what you're serving. I'm not going to be able to eat it. No, just add to it so
Yeah.
that you can bring something along. And this brings up another thing. And I think it's really important that we make the effort to make this look easy and doable and fun. So, for example, if I go to a barbecue where I've either brought or there are veggie burgers available, I don't ask my host if I can see the package of the buns to see if there might be, honey in the in the buns. I'll go with serving it on what they've got there. There's a veggie burger, there's salad, there's ketchup, it's just really important that we
Yeah.
not make feel so torn apart, because this is part of compassion. Veganism to me is the spirit of causing the least harm possible.
Right.
And that doesn't mean I have to eat a steak at anybody's house at all, but it means that I also need to be present with the people where they are and be loving and kind and compassionate and eat what I have either brought with me or from what they've got, and set people at ease as much as possible.
Yeah, that's so true. You just need to make it as easy as possible, because then you relax and then it's a lot easier to stay with it. That's for sure. And I'm curious, since your book is The Plant-Based Journey, but we also say the word veganism. Do you have a preference between vegan or plant-based? I know a lot of people in this community don't like one of those.
One or the other.
Right. It's like half and half.
Yeah. And I know that the argument is that the plant-based people will say, well, this talks about what we do eat instead of what we don't eat. But to me, I was asked this on a question on about a year and a half ago, one interview, and the answer just spontaneously come up, which I use to this day. And she asked me, do you think that if people try to eat a vegan diet, that they're going to feel like, isn't it restrictive and you're limited? And I said, actually, yes, you're restricted and limited from the suffering, from the planetary devastation, from the, I listed all the things that you get to drop when you eat a vegan diet. So to me, to say, in essence, plant-based, even though I presented in the plant-based journey, I progressed people toward how to do this in a plant-exclusive way so that all your food is plant-sourced. But legally and officially, plant-based just means most of your calories come from plant-sourced materials. Mm-hmm. You can be 100% plant-sourced, or it actually leaves room that you could squeak in a little bit of non-plant products or animal products, and you would still be plant-based, because most of your calories, does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And that's why Victoria Moran doesn't like using the word plant-based, because she said it exactly like that.
Yeah.
And so, but then on the other side of the coin there, I would like to know, if someone ate all plant-based, 100% plants, and they call themselves a vegan, but they wear leather shoes, or they, have a leather jacket, can they not call themselves a vegan? Because
they should say they eat a vegan diet. Because actually, vegan does imply that you are paying attention to how you impact animals as a commodity in every area of your life, not just what's put on your plate. And this is why I like the term vegan over plant-based, because it is inclusive of that. We have the whole planet and all of the sentient beings in here on Earth with us to consider. And why should we cut ourselves off from that consideration that has to do not only with the well-being of others, but I truly believe of well-being of ourselves? As I shared earlier, how much more at peace I felt being aligned with my ethical ideals when I moved my diet all the way in this direction. And that extends to things that I use in my life too, things that I wear and things that I buy for my home.
Yeah,
and
I
the
agree.
seats that I have in my car, the idea of sitting on a leather seat to warm my butt is like, it's just,
right.
There's something wrong with that. There's something wrong with that.
Time to take a break and stretch or walk. And maybe it's a good time to get on that Amazon banner on my site right now, or in the show notes, and order Lani's book, the one called The Plant-Based Journey, a step-by-step guide for transitioning to a healthy lifestyle and achieving your ideal weight. And while you're there, be sure to pre-order her book coming out in October called The Mindful Vegan, because if you do it now, you're going to get some amazing gifts. So check it out. And if you just go to her website too, you'll learn what those gifts are. Thanks to you guys out there that are using that Amazon banner. I love you guys. It means the world to me. You know that. And you know that it helps me keep the show going. I've learned of this other thing now called Patreon. You guys are probably familiar with it, but I learned about it some months ago. Thanks, Maggie. But I just haven't got around to doing it. And one of the reasons I decided to wait is I just wanted the show to get bigger before I really started promoting it and asking people for help. So now that the show's growing, I'm going to set up my Patreon account, and I look forward to asking you guys for some small monthly donations just to help keep the show going. But I'll keep you posted on that, okay? And don't forget to share the show today with anyone you know that's interested in learning more about a plant-based journey. Just hit that share button at the bottom if you're in iTunes or in the podcast app. If you know anyone that's interested in making the transition or that has health issues that could benefit from the transition, it's easy. So share it for me, please. And you know I'll love you guys forever. Okay, now let's get back to the show. Well, and then the other challenge that I hear from a lot of people is cooking, because I think there's two different categories here. I think there's the people who do cook and know how to cook, but they've never cooked plant-based at all, and they eat animal fat-laden foods and they feel completely overwhelmed. Like, I now don't have one single recipe to make, and your book is great for helping them transition. But then there's this other group of people, and then sadly, there's probably even more of those because the world is busy and people work too much and they don't have time to cook, but they don't know anything about cooking. And if you don't cook, you're not going to eat healthy. You can't eat out every day. You can't pick up fast food, even though it's possible to get plant-based that way. It's not going to be healthy to live like that every day. You definitely need to make some healthy organic food at home. So what do you tell people who are afraid to venture into this cooking food that is plant-based?
If they haven't been cooking at all, you mean every meal has been a restaurant meal? There are people like that. You know?
Or just a lot of them. Or maybe they pick up a bag of frozen something and heat it up, and it's just like all fast.
Well, here is a really good system that my friend Neil Bernard from the PCRM recommends, and that I recommend as well. And that is, if you get this idea and you want to do this, don't even make any changes in what you eat for a week. For the first week, just start investigating. Find a few things that you were already eating that meet the bill. For example, most people will like spaghetti with marinara sauce. That means without the meat in it. Mm-hmm. Most people like tacos with just the beans without the meat in it. Most people like to have a salad. Most people like a peanut butter sandwich. Most people like a fruit, an apple or a banana here or there. There are a lot of foods that people are already eating that fill the bill of being whole food, vegan, plant-based. So first you would do is find all the meals that you already enjoy like that and kind of make a list of them. Because if you're going to make the switch, that's what you can draw upon for your easy source of familiar foods. Don't try to go all foreign foods to help you get started. And then after that week, you can go, make a commitment that for 10 days to 3 weeks, you're just going to eat those foods, or you can even do one. This is the suggestions in the plant-based journey too. For transition, you can do one meal at a time, like make all your breakfast plant-based for a week. And then the next week it's add lunches. And then, there's several ways you can piece it together. But start with foods that you like that are plant-based, and start by plantifying those that you that are not, and think really simple and flavors that you like.
I love that you use the word plantify your old familiar recipes. That's perfect, because that just has the right feeling to it. And it's true. I think breakfast and lunch is easy, because breakfast you can just have oatmeal or fruit, and lunch there's so many sandwiches that are already vegan. You can have a portobello mushroom sandwich, grilled There's so many sandwiches.
Yeah, lentil soup and potato. I know it's not
Right.
soup weather now, but that's a great way to build a solid meal.
And then they might not, the dinners are usually the hard one. I used to just tell my patients, well, just do like Mondays, all vegan. Monday is your vegan day. And then you have to find a vegan recipe and look it up the whole rest of the week and then make it for that Monday. And then do every breakfast and lunch vegan, but just that dinner on Monday, because then you don't have to sweat over another recipe you got to find.
And I think that's really good advice. It has to be doable. It has to be accessible so that it is not so daunting.
Right. And, to really save the environment, it's really better to edge people over in this direction, because if they go too fast, they're going to go, well, I don't know what to make tonight. And then they just give up. This is too hard. This is just too hard. But if they suddenly make one plant-based burger recipe and they have it every Monday, they go, cool, I've got Mondays taken care of. Okay, next one might be a pasta marinara that they already knew how to make. So they say, we can do that tonight. I already knew how to make that one. And then the next week they say, I want to learn a new one. And maybe they make a kind of chili where they learned how to do a chili now that's just plantified, as you say.
And I do have a chili recipe in the plant-based journey. I call it game changer chili because it does change the game. And what I do is I replace crumbly browned beef in chili. You can use crumbly bulgur wheat instead. It has the same texture and mixed with all the other flavorings and seasonings, some kidney beans in there and some vegetables and the onions. It's a really robust chili, and I have country comfort cornbread to go with it that is completely vegan, and it's all very healthy too. It's all whole foods except for a little baking powder, I think.
Yeah, yum. Now I wonder what your opinion is on the sad myth that people are spreading out there about how beans should be avoided because of the lectins and how grains are so dangerous. We're going to get grain brain if we eat those grains. So I'm just curious, like, how you get people out of that mindset that is so big right now, at least here in LA, because the paleo movement is big.
The paleo thing
here.
is really big, and it's very market driven. And actually, all of these are kind of reincarnations of the Atkins diet, a grain brain thing.
Right.
And we do know that people who eat a certain number of servings of whole grain whole grains every day, it definitely has an impact on heart disease. So if they're asking about the health aspect, there's a lot more research out there. If you go to pubmed.org and look up anything with whole foods, plant-based or whole grains, you will get pages and pages of things affirming their positive impact on your health compared to anything in paleo. So I think people like to stick with the paleo because it's sexy or something out there. It's really driven by the market, and it allows people to hang on to their bacon and their butter, which look nothing like they did thousands of years ago.
Yeah.
But I think that's what it is. So I think really the bottom line, though, Deborah, is people, do they really care? Do they really want to know? Or are they just trying to look for a stumbling block?
Yeah.
So we can invest a lot of time in explaining these things, but if someone is really not interested in finding out the truth about these things and they just want to be in a position, then we need to see that too. That's where being present in a conversation is important.
Yeah.
Don't knock yourself trying to convince somebody of any reason why they should or shouldn't do something. If they are interested, then ascertain that. And then any information you give can be freely given. You can give resources, but you cannot be dependent on their reaction and follow through.
See, that's very logical, good advice. And now I wonder, since you talked about the amount of servings of grains, is there any general template that you can tell listeners what their goal should be when they go plant-based, of servings of fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and beans?
Yes, I'll tell you what, I did that all in the plant-based journey. As a matter of fact, the entire chapter on the Scout area is I broke it down like that. And I spoke with a plant-based dietitian. I had Juliana Hever look through everything that I'd recommended, and I looked at all of the research out there to see what basic parameters of recommended servings of each of these things were per day. And I got to be honest with you, I had some reluctance on doing that because I didn't want someone to turn it into a diet. Like, here's a checklist. I have to have 7 servings of this and 3 servings of that, because we're all different. We all have different palate tastes. We have different energy levels. All of those things are individual. But I can't tell you how many times I've been thanked by people that say, thank you for telling me that and giving me an idea of how much a serving size is, because coming from a standard American diet, they really are, some people just really have no idea. And to have something to grab onto, to visualize a plate and picture what it might look like is very helpful. So that's all there. I wrote down everything I ate for a week, which is,
Great.
I am contrary to that because I had enough years of food diaries and never helped me lose weight, never helped any of that, but anything for the cause. So I thought, I'm just going to write down what I eat, just my simple stuff. So it can kind of be a model. I don't tell people eat what I ate or eat what's in this journal, but this way you can go, oh, I see, that's what she did. And I put notes in there. I have a notes column like, well, I did this because this, and I felt like this because this, and I had this left over. It's how we all go through our days.
Yeah,
And that's a really good system that I have in the book.
okay. Well, then I'm going to put that link for your book, of course, in the notes so people can get that. And I think that's a really valuable thing because people transitioning over, it'll give them the feeling of not just satisfaction that they know they're doing it right, but some people may worry because I think the protein myth is such a big deal.
And it's true. It's true. As a matter of fact, and I address that in the plant-based journey too. You've probably heard this, and I bet a lot of people on the call or listening at this time have heard some of the plant-based doctors say, oh, you don't have to worry about what categories of food you're eating. Just eat from a variety of plant-based foods and you'll be fine. Have you heard that?
Yeah, sure.
Well, to somebody new to this, that's scary stuff, especially if they're used to the way they've been planning meals in the past. It's too big of a cliff to jump off of. So my answer to that is something that I have in the plant-based journey called the Easy Meal Planner, because I understood this. I understood this reluctance to let everything go.
Right.
So I look back to my own upbringing. My mom was very interested in nutrition. My parents had an organic garden. They did eat. They weren't vegetarians or vegans by any means, but my mom made every dinner was, here's your protein, which is usually a main dish of some kind of meat or dairy thing, like chicken and rice or tuna fish casserole. That was the main thing.
Right.
And then she always had a vegetable or two, and then she always had her fruit. So I put that in as something. So many people connect with that, Deborah. They go, well, my mom did that too. So all you have to do is overlay that with plant-based alternatives or vegan alternatives. And that has set so many people at ease. And then from there, you can get more relaxed into mixing and matching. But expecting people to just let go of everything, either all in or all out is unrealistic and it's too scary.
Well, not only that, it probably doesn't fall until maybe the champion stage. You know what I mean? People want a template to know that they're eating the right nutrients to be healthy because they're worried.
Yeah.
And we're so brainwashed about how much protein we need that if they can read, okay, this is a serving and I need 7 of these and this has been researched, then they feel safe to go do it. So I think it's just insurance. Okay, one more question, then I want to ask you about your new work. But I just want to know, what kind of things should we do to stock up our kitchen if we're transitioning to vegan diet?
Well, first, as I said, go through and find the things that you're already eating that fill the bill of whole plant foods. And what supplies do you need for those? Let's go back to the spaghetti marinara. If you like that, then you're going to need to get yourself some pasta and get some marinara sauce. There's so much of that available on the market today. You don't even have to make it. You can buy it. If you like beans, it is a great thing to stock up on. If you don't want to cook them, then for heaven's sakes, go buy some cans of it. You can drain them and use them all the time. Get yourself some good whole grain bread if you're a bread eater, which I am. If you're not, then do something else like whole grain rice or get some bulgur wheat or something else that's going to give you the basics of starches, which is whole grains and beans. Vegetables, which is anything for a salad and cooked vegetables. And heaven knows we got everything ripped up for us in bags already these days, right?
Right.
It's not the least pricey way to go, but if it's not a big budget concern for you and you just want to make sure you start eating the right things, that's the way you can go. But you can buy lettuce and cabbage in heads and slice it yourself. Get yourself some fruit, get some nuts and seeds, and then find some sauces or condiments that you like. As a matter of fact, for the gift that I have for people to go download for the plant-based journey, I have 7 sauces that put sizzle on your plant-based plate. That's a beautiful download document of 7 recipes that couldn't fit in the book. And sauces can make a big difference.
Yeah.
If you feel like, oh, beans and grains and vegetables, I need some, well, put a sauce on it. There's lots of alternatives for that.
Yeah. Okay, good. And I think that way, then when you have the nuts and the seeds and the fruit already in your kitchen or your house, then when you're hungry and you need a snack, you have something to go to fast.
Well, I'll tell you what. Yeah, what you have is what you'll eat. So if you don't have it, you're not going to eat it.
Yeah. So like you said, before you start, go stock up your kitchen and get out what you don't want to eat anymore. Okay, well, let's talk about you told us about your new book. Is there anything you want to add to that? It's called The Mindful Vegan. When is it going to be out, and how long did it take you to write this? And you must be super excited about it.
I am really excited because it's been, like I said earlier in our conversation, this mindful aspect was what was linchpin for me. And I took a mindfulness meditation practice up 25 years ago. And despite struggling for decades before that with food, eating, weight, my body, relationship of all, mindless eating, compulsive eating, a stint in Overeaters Anonymous, all those things, that became a situation I was able to successfully navigate immediately upon taking up that practice, which enabled me to finally be 50 pounds lighter now than I was at my highest weight. Whereas up until then, my weight had been going up and down, along with the angst over this relationship with food and my body. So this is why I stress it is so important.
Mm-hmm.
So the Mindful Vegan is actually a 30-day plan. This is a subtitle, a 30-day plan for finding health, balance, peace, and happiness. And each day I build upon a very simple practice. I start with 1 minute on day one. Put 1 minute into this practice on day one. And I tell you how to do it, how to get yourself into position. And then every day I packed with research about how mindfulness practice is used to alleviate stress. It has been used to alleviate addictions such as smoking. It has a major impact on binge eating behaviors, on stress and stress management. There's just a huge list of things that it has a positive impact on. So I want this tool to be easily accessible to everyone. So that was my mission with this, is how can I put this together to take the mystique out of mindfulness and to really make it something that people can connect with. And it's called The Mindful Vegan because how many mindful eating books are there out there, but they don't talk about being conscious about the food that's on your plate other than I'm kind of in the mood for a burger. This intuitive eating thing. It's like, come on. And mindful and vegan, it's like my friend Patty Brightman said, it's almost redundant, mindful and vegan, because to be a vegan is being mindful to some degree already of what's going on your plate, what you're putting in your body. So I wanted to intersect these two, mindfulness and veganism, to support this practice. And also, these mindfulness practices are specific tools that help us navigate the difficult conversations and situations we are in. We experience as vegans and even as plant-based eaters and vegetarians a lot of stress being in a non-vegan world, which many people feel like they're isolated in their community, like they're swimming upstream. Mindfulness practice can help you navigate that too and ease your way through conversations, through situations, simply by helping you reprogram your reactivity and helping you be more present and have more equanimity in the face of all the ups and downs of life.
And it can help you, as you said, in your whole life, not only with your, plant-based journey and your eating and your weight issues, but you train your mind like that and you're just, planting a solid seed for the future. And I would like to know if your 30-day, what you were talking about, the 30-day where they get an email every day, is that separate than the book, and that's the virtual retreat you're talking about?
No, that is actually the book. There's not an email every day. It's in the book.
I see. It's in the book. Cool.
The virtual retreat is upon release of the book. It's officially released in October. I am offering for everyone who pre-orders a 4-day virtual retreat where I am going to be on the phone day one, giving a lesson and answering questions for people who have that book in hand so that they can start from day one. I really want to reinforce, let's do this thing. Let's not just read about how great it is to do, let's actually do it. And then at the end of the 4 days, I'll be back on again to help address questions or moving forward from there, how to best implement. So that's what the 4-day virtual retreat is.
I see. So they do that online and they get qualified for that by pre-ordering the book.
Yeah, I have the pre-order. You'll have it on the page, the pre-order page, because once they sign up for that, they send in their receipt number from Amazon or Barnes & Noble, wherever you buy your book, and then you immediately get an email back from me with your bonus gifts, which is a 4-minute meditation that I've recorded already, a short restorative yoga exercise, and your ticket to the Mindful Vegan virtual retreat that's coming up in October. And then at a later date, closer to time, I will send you your access point, your portal for coming into, it's a webcast or a teleconference. You can access it either way, live, and I'll record it in case you can't make it.
Great. And that link that you said for them to download your 7 sauce recipes, that was if they purchased the plant-based journey?
Yeah, so there's going to be 2 packages of gifts that people are going to get when they follow through on this. I just described the one for the Mindful Vegan, the new book, and the other for the plant-based journey is a download of the first 40 pages of the book, which goes through these 5 steps that Deborah and I have been talking about. And it also has Dr. T. Colin Campbell's beautiful preface, and he's the author of the China study, and Neil Barnard's foreword. So you get a really good introduction to the book that way. And on that same email response to that, you will get the 7 sauces. So there's going to be 2 places to go, 2 places to fill in an email. So you get all this great stuff.
Cool. And Lani, I know you do for the PCRM, as you said.
Yeah.
Is it a 30-day vegan challenge or something like that? What do they actually call it?
Yeah, it's a 21-day vegan kickstart, and we run it every single month, the first through the 21st of every single month. And you can go to pcrm.org and follow the links and get on board with that.
Okay, cool, because that's another great option for people to follow through with. Yeah. That's really good. And before we leave, I want you to give the listeners 3 tips that you think would be really important for them right now today, for those that are thinking about maybe making this transition or have just started.
Yes. Okay, first thing is to go on a walk. Get yourself moving, even if it's only for 10 minutes, and bring yourself totally into the walk. So see if you can make a walk that you take, whether it's on a city street, whether it's in a treadmill in the gym, or whether it's in the woods. I live up in the woods out here, so I can just kind of step out the door and go anywhere. But this would be a way for you to get back into your body, which is the source of so much information for you. Let yourself leave for even 10 minutes, everything else behind, and just be present with the walk. Next is to put some thought into, outside of that walk time, where it is that you want to go with alignment with your ethical ideals and your health. Are you interested in this idea of moving all these things associated with animal products off of your plate? We have the environmental concerns, we have your health, we have the well-being of other sentient beings. Is that something that you honestly, in the bottom of your heart, connect with? And is that going to help move you forward? And the other is to prepare at least 1 meal today that is vegan. All animal products moved off your plate, even if it's a breakfast, it's oatmeal and fruit and a piece of toast with almond butter and, let's see, cherry jam. That's my favorite right now.
Me too.
Yeah, and get it out of your head about, there's a lot of confusion out there too, Deborah, with don't eat the salt, don't put any sugar on your food, better not have a speck of oil. These all things are adding layers that you don't need to think about right away. Start with getting more whole plant foods on your diet, moving your body, opening up some space for all of this to happen.
That's great. And as we always, every one of us know, and as you said earlier, practice makes perfect. So better to start and make some mistakes than not start at all. That's for sure. And then how can people follow you? Tell us your social media, your website.
Well, the best thing to do, because you're going to be going to get these downloads, the links will take people to pages on my website. So right there, once you sign up for one of these two gifts or both of them, the mindful vegan stuff and the plant-based journey stuff, you'll be automatically get a gift subscription to my newsletter, which I call Juice for the Journey News. And that means whenever there's something new, an update, a blog article, like recently I did a article with Dr. Neil Barnard because I was in Washington, D.C., and he was my driver. So I called him my Uber driver, and I did a really great video with him.
That's funny. I saw that.
It's very funny. Yeah. So all those things will take place. There's also a contact form. If you have a question for me, I answer all emails. I still, they may be brief, but I really think that being available to people is important. So as long as it's a short question that I can help you with, great. I am available for consultations and coaching too. But right now, let's just get these gifts in your hands. You'll get on my newsletter. You can go to the blog and you can snoop around and there's so much information there. My blog has been archived now for, at least 10 years. So there's a lot of material there.
And Lani, you're going to come back right before the Mindful Vegan or right as it comes out, right? And we're going to do a whole show on that.
I hope so. I think that would be great. And we can dive in even deeper into some of this. And I could even do a short lesson or, there's so many possibilities.
For sure. So I'm going to hold you to that whenever works for you once that book is out. So thanks again. I really appreciate all your hard work in this field.
Thank you.
You're doing amazing things. I mean, just the Plant-Based Journey book is so helpful for people like us that are trying to help people move over, and we can just put that book in their hands. So thanks for that. And I look so forward to the Mindful Vegan because that is the next step of really making life changes.
Well, thank you for all you do too, Deborah. It's so appreciated. And thank you everyone for being here with us.
Yeah, thanks, Lani. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Well, you guys, did you learn anything? It's really interesting to know that she could find 5 principles or steps and 2 what she calls key players that take place in all the people that made the transition successfully. That alone is so helpful because it's like a template for success that's already in place. And like I always say, why not learn from someone who has been on the path and made the mistakes, and then they can teach others how to do it in a better way. And they're giving all their experience away in a book, a simple book that you buy and you have all that experience. And in that Plant-Based Journey book, Lani makes it really easy because she has templates for recipes where you just pop in different ingredients and then you get a different outcome. How great is that? She teaches you how to order when you have to eat out, how to handle a social situation, how to organize your kitchen, your shopping list. It's all laid out in the book. So if you're new to plant-based eating or a vegan lifestyle, I highly recommend you click on the link in the show notes and you go pick up a copy of it. Okay, you guys, I'm not going to keep you any longer today. It's that time already. Time for me to say goodbye, my friends. I hope you enjoyed the show today and you're motivated to take that plant-based journey. Just know Vidal Speaks is here for your support system, okay? Keep up the good work and eat as many plants as you can till we speak next week. Till then, ta-ta for now. Vidal has spoken. Remember, you heal with a plant-powered diet, homeopathy, and detoxing, of course. Peace, be healthy, be free, live life.